Original post-cheating wife went out on a 2-week girls' trip that felt suspicious from the start, but when I randomly saw her 2 friends at a local bar with their husbands, they admitted she actually went to meet her ex-boyfriend and made them cover for her. So I, 35, have been married to my wife, 33, for a little over 7 years. Like any couple, we've had our ups and downs, but I never really thought infidelity was something I had to worry about with her. We built what I thought was a stable marriage. She's always been social, has a tight-knit group of girlfriends, and I trusted that aspect of her life without second-guessing it. That's why when she told me she and her 2 closest friends were planning a 2-week girls' trip, I didn't object. At first, I thought it was a bit excessive. 2 weeks felt like a long time to just unwind. But I brushed it off, telling myself I was being insecure. After all, I travel for work sometimes, so it wasn't fair of me to be controlling about her wanting a vacation. Still, something about the way she brought it up felt odd. She didn't really ask, more like informed me that it was happening. The trip also seemed kind of last minute, and when I asked for details, where exactly they were going, what hotels, what activities, they were fuzzy at best. She gave, me broad answers, almost rehearsed. We'll do some shopping, hit the beach, maybe a wine tour. I didn't push too hard, but the unease in my gut lingered. In the weeks leading up to her trip, her behavior started changing. She got unusually protective of her phone, to the point where she even changed her passcode. When I asked why, she said, "Oh, I just wanted something easier to remember." But the way she said it didn't sit right with me. She started getting distant, too. She wasn't as affectionate, wasn't as chatty as before. Nights that we'd usually spend watching movies together, she'd spend scrolling or planning the trip. It felt like she was halfway out the door before she even left. When the day finally came, I drove her to the airport. She hugged me. Goodbye. Kissed me like normal, and I told myself I was just being paranoid. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But during the trip, things only got stranger. Anytime I tried to call her, it went to voicemail. When I texted, she'd reply hours later with short responses. If I asked for a quick video chat, she'd say, "Wi-Fi sucks here, babe. I'll call you when I can." Except she never did. The few pictures she sent looked generic, like the kind of stock photos you could find on Google or pull off Instagram. I ignored my gut, telling myself not to spiral. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Friday, and I didn't feel like sitting at home stewing in my own thoughts. A couple of coworkers invited me to grab drinks at a local bar, so I went. We were sitting there, halfway through a pitcher, when I looked across the room and nearly spit my beer out. At a corner table, laughing and drinking, were my wife's 2 best friends. The very same ones she was supposed to be on this magical 2-week girls' trip with. And they weren't alone. They were with their husbands. For a moment, my brain just froze. I honestly thought maybe their trip got canceled or postponed and nobody bothered to tell me. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I excused myself from my coworkers and walked over, trying to act casual, but inside I was boiling. "Hey," I said, probably louder than I meant to. "I thought you guys were supposed to be out of town." The shift in their expressions told me everything. They went pale, their smiles dropped instantly, and they exchanged panicked glances. The husbands looked confused, like what's going on. One of them stammered, well, plans changed last minute." The other muttered something about flight cancellations. It was a pathetic attempt, and I wasn't buying it. I pressed, harder, lowering my voice so I didn't cause a scene. "Cut the crap! Where is she?" The guilt written across their faces was undeniable. They both went quiet until finally one of them sighed and admitted, "She didn't want you to know. She begged us to cover for her. She's not on a girls' trip." My stomach dropped. My ears were ringing, but I forced myself to stay composed. "Then where is she?" She went to see her ex." She said it was just for closure, just a short trip at first, but then it turned into the full 2 weeks. She made us promise to say we were with her. I swear, in that moment, it felt like the floor disappeared beneath me. 7 years of marriage, trust, loyalty, gone in a single confession. My wife wasn't off sipping margaritas on a beach with her girlfriends. She was with her ex-boyfriend, and I had been the clueless husband at home waiting for her to come back. I don't even remember leaving the bar. I just walked out in a daze. Anger, humiliation, heartbreak. It all hit me at once, like a freight train. How could she do this? How could she look me in the eye, kiss me goodbye, and then fly off into the arms of another man? The betrayal cut deep. I felt like an idiot for ignoring the signs. I kept replaying every suspicious detail in my head. The phone, the secrecy, the fake stories. All of it pointed to the truth, but I had chosen to believe her instead of my gut. Now here I was, holding a reality I didn't know how to process. Do I call her out immediately? Do I text her and demand answers? Do I wait until she comes home and let her dig herself deeper into lies? Part of me wanted to blow up her phone, scream at her, demand she come home right now. But another part of me, colder, quieter, told me to play it smart. If she was capable of this kind of deception, I needed more than just anger. I needed proof. I needed a plan. So here I am, sitting alone in my house, knowing my wife is with her ex while her friends cover for her. She has no idea I know the truth. She's probably still spinning her web of lies, planning what fake stories she'll tell me when she gets back. I'm stuck between confrontation and strategy, and honestly, I don't even know how to move forward. From here, Reddit, what would you do in my situation? Should I blow it up now, or should I wait until she comes home and see just how deep the rabbit hole goes? Update 1. Hey Reddit, I wasn't expecting my original post to blow up the way it did. I honestly just needed a place to vent, but the amount of advice and support I got was overwhelming. Reading through your comments, one piece of advice kept coming up again and again. Don't confront without evidence. As much as my emotions wanted to go nuclear on my wife the second I learned the truth, the logical part of me realized that you guys were right. If I confronted her with nothing but the word of her friends, she'd twist it, gaslight me, and probably make me look like the jealous, insecure husband. But if I had hard proof, she'd have no way out. So I decided to wait. I decided to play along. Gathering the proof, the first thing I did was quietly start going through our shared finances. We have a joint credit card that we both use for trips, bills, and bigger purchases. I logged into the account one night and there it was. Charges that lined up perfectly with her supposed vacation. Hotel bookings, not at a beach resort. With girlfriends, but at a 4-star hotel in her ex's city. Expensive dinners for two at restaurants I recognized. Charges at boutique shops near his area. Even Uber rides and a couple of charges for gas stations around there. It felt like being punched in the stomach over and over, but at the same time, it was validating. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. My gut had been screaming the truth the entire time. And now I had the receipts, literally. I also reached out to one of the husbands of her friends. He and I have always been on decent terms. I asked him straight up, "Were you guys covering for her?" He looked uncomfortable, then finally admitted that yes, she had asked them to pretend. He didn't like it, but his wife begged him not to blow up her friendship. He apologized to me and said he didn't agree with it. That confirmation, combined with the financial trail, gave me exactly what I needed. Her return when she finally came home after 2 weeks. She was glowing like she'd just been on the best vacation of her life. She hugged me at the airport, smiled wide, and immediately launched into stories about her trip. Beaches, wine tastings, late-night talks with her girlfriends. It was all a performance, and I knew it. I played my role perfectly. I smiled, nodded, and asked questions. I even told her I was glad she got the break she needed. Meanwhile, inside, My blood was boiling with every fake word that came out of her mouth. The first night back, she unpacked a few things in front of me. Souvenirs, random trinkets, some clothes she claimed she bought while shopping with the girls. But I noticed something. None of the receipts she left lying around matched the stories. No receipts from the touristy areas she claimed to visit. Instead, a few from stores that I knew were in her ex's city. She didn't even try to cover her tracks well. The next few days, I acted like everything was normal. We went out to dinner, watched movies, even went on a walk together. She seemed relaxed, like she had gotten away with it completely. But during that time, I was working behind the scenes. I started quietly consulting a lawyer. I told him everything, and he advised me to keep gathering evidence while maintaining my composure at home. The more proof I had, the better my position would be when I filed for divorce. I also kept copies of everything: bank statements, screenshots of transactions, even a timeline of her lies compared to the charges. I created a folder and backed it up in multiple places. I wanted to make sure she couldn't worm her way out with manipulations or half-truths. Every night I'd look at her sleeping next to me and wonder how she could betray me so completely. But instead of yelling, I forced myself to stay calm. I reminded myself that patience was my weapon now. Finally, I decided to test the waters. I didn't want to show my full hand yet, but I wanted to see how she reacted under pressure. One evening after dinner, I casually mentioned, "Oh, by the way, I ran into her two friends at the bar the other week. It was funny. I thought you were with them at the time." The fork froze in her hand. It was the smallest pause, but it told me everything. Her eyes flicked up to mine, wide for a split second, before she quickly composed herself. "Oh, you must have seen them before." "They left," she said too quickly. I raised an eyebrow. "No, it was definitely while you were gone. They were with their husbands, seemed like they hadn't gone anywhere." She laughed nervously, stumbling over her words. "Oh, yeah, well, there were some last-minute changes. They couldn't make it the whole trip, so I was by myself for part of it. It was such a weak excuse, and she knew it." Her hands fidgeted, her tone shifted, and her whole body screamed discomfort. Watching her scramble was like watching a bad actor forget their lines mid-performance. I nodded slowly, pretending to accept her answer. Got it. Makes sense. But inside, I was grinning coldly, because now I knew for sure she was willing to lie to my face, even when I gave her the chance to come clean. So that's where things stand right now. My wife thinks she pulled it off. She thinks I'm buying her stories about beaches and wine, tastings, and that my little question about her friends was just innocent curiosity. But she has no idea that I have the receipts. She has no idea I've spoken to her friends' husbands. She has no idea I've already spoken to a lawyer. She thinks I bought her lies, but the truth is I'm done being the clueless husband. Now it's my turn to play. Update. 2. It's been a whirlwind since my last update. A lot of you told me to be patient, gather every piece of evidence, and wait for the right moment to expose everything. That advice turned out to be priceless, because now the truth is out, and it went down in the most explosive way imaginable. I'm not proud of how vindictive I felt through all of this, but at the same time, I don't regret it. After the betrayal I endured, the lies she spun, and the humiliation of being played for a fool, I wanted her to face consequences she couldn't wriggle out of. And oh boy, she got them. After my little test confrontation where I mentioned seeing her friends, I knew she was never going to come clean on her own. She looked me dead in the eyes and lied again, which sealed it for me. So, I doubled down on gathering proof. I went through every single bank and credit card statement, cataloging charges. Hotels, restaurants, boutique shops, Ubers, all matched perfectly with her ex's city. I checked our shared cloud account. She forgot to disable sync on her iPad. There were a few stray photos she hadn't deleted. Selfies with wine glasses that didn't match the location she claimed to be in, a mirror selfie where I spotted her ex's jacket hanging in the background. I compiled all of this into a neat little timeline, day by day, charge by charge, lie by lie. At the same time, I kept in touch with my lawyer. He was already drafting divorce papers and told me I had an airtight case, especially with the financial evidence and confirmation from her friends' husbands. He advised me to wait until I could serve her in the most undeniable public way possible, so she couldn't spin the narrative later. That's when I got the idea. My wife wanted to parade her vacation stories and soak up admiration for her little getaway. She was already dropping hints to my family about hosting a dinner to show off her souvenirs and share photos. Instead of stopping her, I encouraged it. I told her, yeah, let's do a welcome home dinner. It'll be nice to hear all about your trip. She lit up, thinking she had me wrapped around her finger. Behind the scenes, I invited her 2 friends and their husbands. I also made sure my family was there, my parents, my sister, and even a couple close cousins. I wanted as many eyes and ears as possible on what was about to go down. The night arrived. I won't lie. My heart was pounding the entire time, but I kept a calm smile plastered on my face. My wife was dressed up, glowing, clearly eager to play the role of the world traveler who just came back from a magical girls' trip. We sat down, food was served, wine poured, and within minutes she launched into her act. Oh, the beaches were incredible. We did this amazing wine tour, and you should have seen the sunsets. Unforgettable. My family smiled politely, eating it up at first. Her 2 friends, though, were visibly uncomfortable. They exchanged nervous glances, sipping their drinks, like they wished the floor would swallow them whole. Their husbands avoided eye contact with me completely. I let her ramble for a while, then I struck. So, I said casually, turning to her 2 friends, what was your favorite part of the trip? The air went still. Forks paused mid-bite. One of the friends stammered, oh, it was all great, really? I leaned in, feigning curiosity. No, really. My wife's been telling us so much about the beaches and the wine tour. Which winery did you guys go to? Her other friend turned bright red. Her husband cleared his throat uncomfortably. And then, it all cracked. One of them finally blurted, I can't do this anymore. We weren't there. She begged us to lie for her. The room went silent. My wife's face drained of color. My family looked shocked, eyes darting between me, her, and the friends. I pulled out my phone, connected it to the TV, and began showing the folder I'd prepared. Screenshots of credit card charges, photos synced from her iPad, the timeline of lies displayed in black and white. This, I said evenly, is where she really was. Not on a girl's trip. She was with her ex-boyfriend for 2 weeks. The reaction was nuclear. My wife immediately broke down, sobbing, saying, it wasn't what it looks like. It was closure. I just needed to see him one last time. It was a mistake. She tried grabbing my arm, but I pulled away. Her friends exploded too. Do you realize what you dragged us into? You used us to cover your lies and made us betray our husbands in the process. One of them stormed out, her husband following. The other sat there crying, apologizing to me over and over, saying she felt trapped. My family was livid. My mom shook her head in disgust. My sister muttered, unbelievable. And my dad just sat there in stony silence. The disappointment was palpable. Meanwhile, my wife was alternating between begging and trying to justify herself. It was just a fling. It didn't mean anything. Please, we can work through this. Don't throw everything away over one mistake. But the thing is, it wasn't one mistake. It was 2 weeks of calculated deception, elaborate lies, and deliberate betrayal. She didn't slip up once. She orchestrated the whole thing. That's when I pulled out the final card. From under the table, I took out a folder and slid it toward her. Those are divorce papers, I said calmly. My lawyer's already seen all the evidence. You can sign them now, or you can sign them later. But this marriage is over. Her face crumpled. She looked around the room, maybe hoping someone would back her up, but all she saw were angry and disappointed faces. Her friends weren't defending her, my family wasn't defending her. She was completely alone. She started pleading harder. "Please don't do this in front of everyone. Let's talk about this privately. We can fix it, I swear." But I cut her off. "You had no problem humiliating me behind my back. Now you can face the truth in front of everyone. You wanted a 2-week vacation with your ex? Congratulations. You just bought yourself a permanent one. From me." She stormed out crying, and the dinner ended in chaos. My family rallied around me, furious on my behalf, but proud that I handled it calmly and strategically. The husbands of her friends actually shook my hand, both thanking me for exposing the truth because they'd been caught in the crossfire too. That night, my wife texted me nonstop, begging, apologizing, claiming she made a horrible mistake and that she'd do anything to fix it. I ignored them. I slept better than I had in weeks. The next morning, I blocked her number and forwarded everything to my lawyer to continue the process. So that's where we're at now. The mask is off. Everyone knows the truth. She lost her friends, her reputation, and her marriage in one night. Me? I feel lighter, stronger, more in control than I've felt in a long time. She wanted a 2-week vacation with her ex. Now she gets a permanent one. Without me. Final update. It's been a few months since the infamous dinner, the night that exposed everything and turned my life upside down. Time has a funny way of healing some wounds, but it also sharpens lessons. I want to share where things stand now, because honestly, I've never felt more at peace in my life. After the dinner, my wife packed her things and moved out. She tried everything. Late-night texts, calls, even showing up at my door, sobbing and begging me to reconsider. She tried the classic guilt trip line, claiming she made a mistake and that she just wanted closure. I didn't respond. I stayed firm. I refused to engage. I refused to let her manipulate me. I realized that what she had done wasn't just a single lapse. It was calculated deception spanning 2 weeks, involving lies, friends, and elaborate cover-ups. There was no fixing that. The more she begged, the more I felt a quiet satisfaction. Not because I enjoyed her pain, but because I finally had the power. I wasn't going to be pulled into her world of lies ever again. I've heard bits and pieces through mutual connections about how she's been doing since the divorce process began. The ex-boyfriend? Apparently, he had no intention of taking their reunion seriously. From what I gather, she returned home, expecting some romance or drama to ignite, but he treated it like nothing happened. Her friends have mostly cut her off. They were furious for being dragged into her deception and for the fallout it caused. My family, once quiet and reserved, made it clear how disappointed they were. The result? She's left with a shattered social circle, a tarnished reputation, and no one to lean on. It's almost poetic. The 2-week adventure she meticulously orchestrated turned into her permanent exile. No beaches, no sunsets, no playful vacation photos. Just isolation and a hard reckoning with the consequences of her actions. As for me, I've focused on rebuilding. Finalizing the divorce was surprisingly smooth. Thanks to all the preparation I did, documenting charges, securing proof, consulting. With my lawyer, I retained our house and all shared assets. It felt like reclaiming a piece of myself that she tried to manipulate away. More than material stability, though, I've worked on emotional recovery. I reconnected with friends and family who supported me through the chaos. Their presence reminded me of the world outside my marriage, the life that existed before the betrayal, and the life that could exist after. I've also allowed myself moments of joy. I'm not rushing into dating, but I'm open to meeting new people. More than anything, I'm enjoying peace. The kind of peace where I no longer feel like I'm walking on eggshells, unsure of who I can trust. I've rebuilt my routines, taken up hobbies I'd neglected, and prioritized my mental health. If there's one thing this entire ordeal taught me, it's to trust my gut. My intuition had been screaming at me long before I discovered the evidence. I ignored it, brushed it off as paranoia, and let myself get blindsided. If I had confronted her without proof, I could have ended up looking foolish. But patience, strategy, and trusting my instincts allowed me to regain control. I also learned the value of calm composure. Watching her squirm, knowing I had everything she tried to hide, was empowering, but I had to maintain a level head. I didn't let anger dictate my actions. I let strategy and evidence guide me. Most importantly, I realized that some people are capable of profound betrayal, and that's on them, not me. Her actions reflect her character, not my worth. I refuse to let her choices define the rest of my life. Now, my life feels like it's finally my own again. I wake up without anxiety, without suspicion. I can plan my days without having to question someone else's motives or wonder what lies. I've been fed. She went to find her past. I moved on to build my future. I've learned that peace, trust, and dignity are priceless. And while her story might continue in whispers and rumors, my story is now mine to write. I'm free. I'm strong. And I refuse to settle for betrayal ever again. Some nights I still think about the dinner, the moment everything came out in the open. But now it doesn't hurt. It's a reminder that I survived, that I acted wisely, and that I reclaimed my life from someone who tried to destroy it.